for today's video I'm going to do something a little bit different on my channel, and that is going to be a video talking about how to save money. Sometimes YouTube is all about, hauls and showing people what you have or what you bought, but I think it's really important to speak on the aspect of actually saving money, because it is something that I've really gotten into within the past few years. I really wanted to get a new car, and I am saving up to purchase a condo, so that is something that I'm really passionate about, so I wanted to share that with you guys in today's video. And these are just going to be my top 5 tips that I think could work for anyone, and I'm just going to jump right into it. So the first tip that I have, and I would say is the most important, is to track your expenses. It's going to be hard to save money when you don't exactly know what you're spending money on. Now recently I've incorporated like an expense tracker into my daily life, and let me just tell you, things have changed. Basically, you can get different ones. I don't really prefer one over the other, but what it is you can get like an app, or you can do it on your computer. And this is just going to be something that is going to allow you to see exactly where you're spending your money. You can also add in your income depending on which one you use. Like I said, it's all personal preference, and one will work better for you depending on what you do and stuff. But you're going to track and add everything into this expense tracker, and for mine particularly, it tells me what I'm spending money on. You spent this much on food, you spent this much at Starbucks this month, you spent this much on clothes, this is how much you brought in, and this is how much you're able to save. What I really like about the personal one that I'm using is once you put in your income, you can break down and put in there I want to save, let's say you're trying to save $200 that month. You put in the $200, and then it's going to calculate every single day how much money you are allowed to spend for that day in order to stay on track to save that $200 or whatever the dollar amount. So I think that that's amazing, because just knowing what you're spending money on is going to help you be able to save more money. Now, by me seeing that and seeing how much money I particularly was spending on coffee and Starbucks, I've really just decreased going there, because as much as I do love it, you can make your own coffee at home for a much cheaper price. So just tracking your expenses is going to let you know what you're spending money on in excess, so you can then go in and readjust and reevaluate, where you want to cut back a little bit, what you want to change, and everything like that. So that is my biggest tip. And also, just for me in general, starting with this expense calculator, since I got it, I am so not wanting to spend money, because I'm man, I have to put it in, and it's just gonna make that deduction for the day. You see it right then and there. When you're swiping your card places, you're not seeing that money come out. You're just not really knowing until the end of the month, or whenever you go online to check your statement. But when you have it on your phone and you're seeing that you're spending it, that's another way to me that has just helped me cut back spending money in general. Tip number 2 is something that I've done for a really long time now, and a lot of people don't do this, but if you currently don't have a savings account, I would highly encourage you to open one and to put some sort of percentage or amount of money every time you get your income into that savings account, and just don't touch it. So for me, I do not have any sort of, it's an actual savings account. There's no checks attached to it, there's no card. So if I want to take money out of the savings account, I have to physically go into my bank and take that money out, which is something that I don't do. So I highly would encourage you to do that. Plus, it's good to have money saved for emergencies. You never know if you're going to lose your job or if anything's going to happen. So I would highly recommend having some sort of savings account. And then again, every time you're making money, put something in there. It could be $1, who cares? As long as you're saving some form of money and not just spending everything. Don't be that person that lives paycheck to paycheck. Reevaluate your life and cut down your expenses so that you are able to save a certain amount of money every month. And another tip I have, I'm just going to throw out there, this is not a part of the 5, but have more than one source of income. And when you do have that more than one source of income, you're going to be able to save more money. So this is something that I can talk about in general in a different video, but I would highly recommend, having multiple sources of income. That way you're not relying on one source of income, because if something happens to that source of income, then you have nothing, if that makes sense. Tip number 3, having good credit. This is something that people don't think about, but if you mess up your credit and you have bad credit, it is going to be a lot harder for you to save money in the long run. at the end of the day, you're gonna have much higher interest rates. If you try and go get a car or buy a house or pretty much do anything and you have bad credit, you're going to be hit with a really large, high interest rate. And that in turn, again, is gonna be another way that you are just paying out your money that you could be saving if you had good credit. So if you aren't sure about credit and you don't really know what your credit score is, I would highly recommend checking out Credit Sesame. It is absolutely free. I've talked about it in a video before. That is just my personal way of checking my credit. I also love Credit Sesame because it's free, and when you are checking your credit score on there, you aren't getting like a ding for checking your credit. A lot of times in different places when you run your credit, you're actually lowering it because you're running your credit so much. They aren't doing that type of run on your credit, therefore you aren't getting a ding when you do check your credit score. It's absolutely free. I will have it linked in the description box down below. Another good resource that they have is if you do have bad credit or you're working on trying to improve that, they have like tips and tricks that you can learn from on their website to help you better your credit. They can suggest credit cards and different things like that for you that would be better for someone who is in your financial situation with the credit that you have. So again, it is completely free. I would highly recommend you to try it out. So I will have it linked in the description box down below. I use it all the time and it's just been a great source for me. My tip number 4 is definitely not for everyone, but it's something that I've done for a really long time. I remember maybe about like 10 years ago, I watched this interview of Kim Kardashian, and she was just talking about how before she was famous and before she was a celebrity, she would resell, her clothing and things like that, and that was her way of making money to buy more clothing and in turn being able to save money. And this is something that I personally do. Again, it's not for everyone, but I do take a good portion of my clothes and I will donate them. But if I have something in my closet that has value that I'm just not wearing it anymore, I will go ahead and use one of those resale apps and resell it to make more money. I find that this is a way to control my spending on clothing, because if I can take items that I have purchased, which is money that I spent, but if I can make a little bit money back, in turn I'm not spending a ton of money on clothing in the long run, if that makes sense. So it's something to think about. Even, if you're saving up for like a designer item, sometimes it's good to buy designer items because they hold value and you can resell them for a lot more money. I can do another entire video on that as well. Obviously, if you're trying to save money, you don't want to buy a ton of designer items, but sometimes when you're investing in a designer piece, like for example, for someone who buys a Chanel bag, Chanel bags go up in value every single year. So if you buy a Chanel purse, it actually, that next year is going to be worth anywhere from $500 to $2,000 more than you purchased it for. So it's like an investment piece that if you ever needed money or if you wanted to make a little bit money, that's something that you can do. Again, several designers are like this, or it's just different from going to like that trendy boutique and buying like that $10 shirt that you're gonna wear it and it's probably not gonna wear well, as opposed to investing in like a little bit nicer of a piece that you can then sell. Like you have like a $50 shirt, you wear it a couple times, it's still in good condition, you can sell it for $25, so you can get half of your money back, as opposed to that shirt from the boutique that was only $10, you're just gonna have to throw it away. So that's just the way that like I look at spending money on clothes, because I feel like as a female, like that's my hardest part to save money, is the clothing aspect and to not shop and things like that. Tip number 5 would be cutting monthly expenses and cutting daily expenses that aren't necessarily a necessity. Now, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for saying this, but I absolutely adore subscription boxes. I think they're amazing. If you are subscribed to like more than 2, that is just money that you're spending that you don't really need to spend, if that makes sense. Like, I would highly suggest like reevaluating things that you're spending money on every single month and just knowing like that you're spending all that money. It's okay to have like 1 subscription box, 2 subscription boxes. But when you get into having like, I know people that are subscribed to 3, 4, 5, things that you're buying every single month like that, think about like, do you need that? Is it a necessity? Different things that you just pay for monthly. There's a ton of different things that I could think of that, it's like a monthly fee. If you cut those out, you can then just put all that money into savings. And then as far as daily expenses, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but coffee or eating out every day, if it's something that you do. If you are at a job and you work an office job and you like go out to eat every single day, maybe pack a lunch once a week, just little minor adjustments that you can make that in the long run will save you a lot of money. I think people's main problem when it comes to saving money is they're like, oh, $5 in my savings account isn't anything. If you're putting it into that savings account that I talked about earlier and you're not looking back at it, in the long run, there's gonna be so much money in there. Sometimes I check my savings account and I'm like, wow, like I have that much money in there? I had no idea because I wasn't thinking about it. I put that money aside and I just forget that that's money that I even have. It's in my savings account, I don't touch it. So I think all in all, that's just a really great way, and these are my top 5 tips to just go about saving money if you're saving up for anything, or if you just want to save money in general. It's never hurts to have money saved up because, like I said, you never know what's going to happen to your job or anything like that. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!